that he will disappear into the distance.
5-second board has been shown. 20-minute race about to get underway. Red lights go on. They go out now. And Paul Cook from closest to the pit wall makes a pretty good start. Perhaps a slightly better getaway there than Graham Crowhurst from pole position, which is on the outside of the circuit here. And certainly Paul Cook, number 26, has gone into the lead of the race as they head through Abbey for the first time. Then Graham Crowhurst in second position, Mike Eustace is third. Then fourth is the 1 Series of Rick Kerry, number 2. And everyone else streaming their way into Village for the first time. So Paul Cook getting the jump on Graham Crowhurst, but how long can he stay in the lead of the race? Through the link section, onto the Hanger Straight they go. He's holding on for the moment, but it doesn't look like it's going to be for very long.
Just shows how important that inside line from the grid is, though, because the same thing happened behind as well, with Eustace getting the jump on Kerry, but Crowhurst a very good exit onto the Hanger Straight. They're going to be absolutely level, though, as they turn into the right-hander at Stowe. Crowhurst with the inside line is able to position his car slightly better, and Rick Kerry has got ahead of Mike Eustace for third position as well in the little 1 Series car. Eustace couldn't do a great deal about that. 4 cars for the lead of the race as we close in on the end of the first lap.
Yep, so they turn their way through the right-hander at Club Corner and up towards the end of the first lap of the race. It's Graham Crowhurst that leads then at the end of lap 1 by just about a quarter of a second from 26 Paul Cook in second place. Number 2 Rick Kerry is third, and Mike Eustace is fourth in number 80. And there's a gap back to Mark Culmer, who's on his own really in 5th position, but then in 6th position we've got Stephen Schweikart, who's got the better of race 1 winner Jim Benson in class 6. Here are the leaders. Paul Cook not letting Graham Crowhurst get away just yet. Certainly
not. Over the rise into Village Corner they will go, though, and beyond that, in fact, over the link itself. Now back onto the Hanger Straight, where straight line speed is so important, plus the torque as well in the lower gears. Headlights on now for Mike Eustace. He's not going to be quite close enough to pounce on Rick Kerry. The same can't be said, though, for Paul Cook, who had a long look at the inside. He wasn't necessarily going to make a forceful manoeuvre there, and he's very sideways from the rear coming out of Stowe Corner. The Crowhurst BMW looking slightly more planted in still the early stages of a 20-minute race.
Yep, certainly is, but it's a good fight this. Paul Cook taking the challenge to Graham Crowhurst here as they come through to complete lap number 2. In race 1 they managed 17 laps during the course of the 20 minutes allowed for the race. You can certainly see the top 2 getting away from the next 2, can't you? Because there's now 2 seconds between Paul Cook and Rick Kerry there in 3rd place, and Mike Eustace in 4th position. The very raucous sounding Rick Kerry car goes through Abbey in 3rd place. As far as class 6 is concerned, I can see that we have had the change there. Jim Benson has got ahead of Stephen Schweikart, and this is a battle within the Cup class. Well, actually, it's not entirely within the Cup class, because although Colin Millen has a similar shape of car, he's not actually within the Cup class this weekend. He's in class 6. But back with the leaders, and there is Graham Crowhurst still hanging on from Paul Cook.
Yep, but it's a closer gap, 1st to 2nd, than it is from 3rd to 4th behind. 3rd to 4th was only 0.3 of a second at the start of the lap. It looks a little bit larger than that this time. Class 6 headed by Jim Benson at the start of the lap, finding his way through, though. There is Andy Pywell in the Fina liveried BMW, evoking memories of early days of super touring in the 1990s. And Pywell finding gaps then. Weren't necessarily spotted by others around him. Kerry a bit wide, but not too wide, onto the curbing, onto the Hamilton Straight. Still there in 3rd, ahead of Mike Eustace, and Mark Culmer, desperate for anyone to race with right now. He's got the whole of that start-finish straight to himself in 5th.
Yep, he is the 5th of the Class M1 cars. He can't quite live with the pace of the 4 ahead of him, but equally is quite a bit quicker than the Class 6 cars ahead, although Jim Benson might be trying to bridge the gap. We'll have to see how that pans out. Graham Crowhurst with slightly more advantages. He comes onto the Hanger Straight this time, I think, over Paul Cook in 2nd place. 1 for the pits, that's the number 27 car, Chris Blakey, who was battling with William Lake in the earlier race, so he's dropped out into the pit lane.
There's Paul Cook in 2nd at Stowe. The rear lights not flashing in real life, that's just an effect from our cameras, but steady LEDs on the back of Crowhurst's car. Headlights are on as well to warn of any forthcoming traffic that he'll want to get through. Hasn't quite reached the tail end, though, of this field of 25 cars. And back across the line then, the 1 Series of Rick Kerry, as now Graham Crowhurst goes quicker than anybody else with a 1 minute 12.32 at the end of lap 4. Still waiting for the Class 6 battle to appear out of the final corner at Club. It was being headed though by Jim Benson at the start of the previous lap.
Yep, and I think it still is the blue car that is ahead as we're watching on screen. Graham Crowhurst and Paul Cook. Yes, it is Jim Benson ahead of Stephen Schweikart by about a second. A reminder that the Class 6 Championship leader, and indeed the overall Championship leader coming into this weekend, Lee Pearcey, not here. He's, I think, excuse me, taking a family holiday at the moment. So he'll be back for the next meeting, I'm sure. Oh, that's Mark. Well, he said he wanted a race. Well, he's found a way to challenge himself. He's been pushing himself to the limit, and he's had an off there at the link. But he's going to rejoin, I think, ahead of Jim Benson. But Benson might have the momentum.
Running with the novice cross, Mark Culmer, and that will be banked in the experience book, no doubt about it. All crossed up, presumably on the run into that tricky right-hander. He might have caught the bump, which links the two versions of the Silverstone circuit together, and that's an awkward seam, if you like, from the Grand Prix track to Maggots and Beckett. So Culmer's not going to pop out of Club at a similar point that we have become used to over the last few laps. Is he going to still be ahead of Jim Benson? News on that to follow, focusing still though on the first and second place fight, Crowhurst to Cook.
Yeah, indeed, so that gap has gradually gone out, hasn't it? 8/10 of a second it was at the end of lap number 5, and we're zooming in now on the battle for 11th position here. Bill Redrock, number 8, just ahead of Paul Laramie, number 31, and Tom Singleton, number 23. So I think these three were involved in a good scrap in the earlier race as well, in their 330s primarily, those cars, turning their way through. And there's Mark Coleman now, and you can see, well, he's got Stephen Schweikart right behind him, which means that Schweikart is ahead of Jim Benson as well. So a couple of things to note there. Coleman's now into the clutches of the Class 6 cars, and the Class 6 leaders changed. Yeah,
I think what happened was Benson got a bit balked by a recovering Culmer, and Schweikart read the situation perfectly. He jinked out a line up the inside at Abbey to take the place, but the previous lap was actually led by Benson, as you can see from the graphic. That will sort itself out through the next split, but Schweikart in the number 43 Class 6 leading BMW, arriving now at Stowe as Mark Culmer gathers his thoughts from that spin and just starts to edge away from the Class 6 cars.
Yeah, it certainly does, but now Jim Benson has got a challenge on his hands to try and get back ahead of Stephen Schweikart, who is leading Class 6 just at the moment. Just having a look to see how the Class 6 wins have been distributed this season. I have a feeling that they've entirely gone the way of Lee Pearcey so far this year, who had reconfigured his car to run in Class 6 for this season. So I think about what about Class podiums within Class 6. Jim Benson before today had 3 second places within the class, and he's added now a Class win. And in terms of Stephen Schweikart, he'd had 1 second and 4 thirds before today. So he'll be keen here to stay ahead of Jim Benson and get his first win in Class 6. But he's also busy taking the fight to Mark Culmer as well as they go back onto the hanging straight. You can see there, though, how the M1 car is able to accelerate away a little bit more effectively. But also, it wasn't a great exit from Schweikart, and he might lose the lead here to Jim Benson as they head down the hanging straight. Yeah,
Benson on the right-hand side of your shot and Schweikart on the left-hand side, so he'll have the natural racing line. Also trying to bag a place is Cavan Granger behind in number 37. I don't know whether Culmer's therefore flat-spotted all of his tyres. Well, no doubt he hasn't treated them particularly well because it was a long sideways spin. But clearly you can get a bit distracted by cars homing in on your position. Again, though, he's concentrating on the road in front as Benson gets ahead of Schweikart briefly through Vale. Granger making a nuisance of himself, as is the next car of Clive Watson as well. These are all Class 6 cars, first, second, third and fourth in that division, and this lap will be headed by Jim Benson once again.
It will indeed, and look how they've lost touch as well to Mark Culmer as well. Over the line that time he was 2 seconds clear of Jim Benson, in fact. For the lead, by the way, Graham Crowhurst still ahead in car number 15, still about 8/10 back to Paul Cook in second place. But we'll focus again on this Class 6 battle, and you can see the two different shapes of car in play here. you've got the Jim Benson car, which is the 330 Ci, and Stephen Schweikart in the E46 Compact, so slightly shorter car and shorter wheelbase as well for Stephen Schweikart, and that'll be handy in terms of the handling in the more twisty parts of the circuit. You would think, and is challenging nevertheless into Stowe at the end of the long hanger straight, but Benson in the 330 Ci able to hold on through there. We're now into the second half of the race.
Yeah, getting the car turned, rotated is presumably easier in the compact, although the 330 is certainly no slouch when it comes to the more technical elements of the Silverstone International Circuit. 330i, or CI in this case, has been a stalwart in things like the British Touring Car Championship. As another compact, this time in the hands of Clive Watson, turns right. Well, actually, the 325 Ti, to give it its correct name, and to the inside, Schweikart, I think, to take the class lead again at Abbey Corner. So Jim Benson tried to get to the right-hand side of the track, but all a bit too late to defend.
Absolutely right. So great scrap for this for the Class 6 lead. Kevin Granger it is in third place within Class 6 at the moment. So that's an improvement on where he was in race 1. He was well down the order in Class 6. So we're pleased with how things are going here. Watson 4th and Andy Wynne in 6th. We're not seeing too much of the Cup class battle, but that's being headed by William Lake by about 4 seconds now over Stuart Pywell. No, 11 seconds I should say, over Stuart Pywell in 15th and 16th position overall, and Sam Walton 3rd of the Cup class cars in number 6.
Mark Culmer out of Stowe Corner in 5th position still. Class 1 car, but not able to take the fight to this machine of Mike Eustace, who is now ahead of Rick Kerry, by the way, for 3rd position, and indeed the two leaders between Crowhurst and Cook. So top 4 cars, well, top 2 certainly in a league of their own, then 14 seconds back to the next duo, and then it's Mark Culmer. However, drama.
Yeah, Rick Kerry's not come through, has he, at the end of the lap? So he is tumbling down the order on our Tom's bin. I was just going to say, you can't see Rick Kerry's car behind Mike Eustace there. So Rick Kerry's race looks to have come to an end at the end of lap 8, because he hasn't yet come through, I'm afraid. So that's going to be a disappointment for the British Touring Car Championship driver. Here's the battle for Class 6 honours again, though. It doesn't relent, does it? This scrap between Swack, Stephen Schweikart, and Jim Benson in 2nd place within that class, and you can see not too far behind them, because these two are slowing each other up, I think. Kevin Granger in number 37, the car with the burgundy bonnet, and the grey car of Clive Watson, number 10.
Yeah, Watson lost about half a second to Granger on the previous lap, but there have been times when he's been a bit quicker. So Watson keeping Granger honest, no doubt, and Andy Wynne has got some good speed as well, but he's got about 4 seconds to try and find. Almost the risk of a headbutt there from Jim Benson on Stephen Schweikart. Faster into the braking area for Vale Corner. Schweikart, though, standing his ground, keeping the elbows out, and for the moment Jim Benson behind. So that's now confirmed as a change of lead within Class 6. It took a while for actually that to manifest itself, because Jim Benson had led at the start of a lap and the end of the same lap, and Schweikart, despite being in front for a period of time, wasn't able to stay there till the end of lap 9. But he's done it now at the end of lap 10. Race leaders already on to lap 12. Graham Crowhurst still with only a 2-second lead over Paul Cook.
This is the battle for 18th position, and it features the 18 car of A.D. Andrei in his BMW Compact 325, prepared by Neil MacDonald in his first season of racing, the data scientist from London. Also involved there, we saw the only Class 4 car of Andrew Pywell. We're picking out these two cars in the Cup class here, and it's the same two that were battling earlier on, Stuart Pywell and Gareth Thomas. And it looks like it is Thomas in the 68 car that is, no, in fact that's the 6th car, isn't it, of Sam Walton. I beg your pardon, Stuart Pywell a bit further up the road, but it's Thomas ahead of Sam Walton here in the battle for 3rd position within the Cup class.
Yeah, so Sam looking for a way by. How busy is this, though, coming out of Club Corner? With to the inside line the outright leader Graham Crowhurst. Benson having a duel with Schweikart as well, and just gets the nose ahead and trying to thread the eye of the needle. That was a really tight space for Paul Cook to try and get through. He had to fold the door mirrors in to ensure he would squeeze through the gap, but has just about managed it. Now finds himself on sort of the wrong line on Jim Benson, but does get ahead of Benson and Schweikart in the braking area for Village Corner, as now they're leaning on one another for the Class 6 lead. This is great stuff.
Superb racing here in the BMW Car Club Racing Championship Class 6. Clearly is the star attraction as well. It's Swack though, the BMW technician from Spalding, that is ahead. He started racing on the circuits in 2019, but he was a racer on the ovals from the age of 15 in Mark II Escorts and then various 1300 stock cars up to the age of 22, I should say. And he's driving this 3-litre I M54 engined Swack Motorsport prepared compact. And he is still ahead of Jim Benson for the moment. So Benson, it was that led at the start of the lap. Schweikart is going to lead at the end, but Kevin Grange is now quite close to the back end of them as well. So will we get a three-way fight for the Class 6 lead before the end of this race? There's not too much longer to go. Only about 4 minutes.
They glow yellow race wheels of Cavan Granger, making that a striking paint scheme with the maroon nose and the white body of his BMW, heading now through the really fast right-hander at Abbey. Equally quick farm as well. Meanwhile, dueling cars about to cross the line with, that will be, is that Paul? No, not Paul Larrabee.
That's the...
car 8, isn't it? So Bill Redrock.
Yes, now ahead of Tom Singleton, so that was a change of position. For
10th place overall, but within Class 6 for 6th and 7th. And it's a class that's led still by Stephen Schweikart just about. Andrew Pywell coming through the link and back onto the hanger straight with 3 minutes to go. 3 seconds to the good. Graham Crowhurst over Paul Cook, but had to be pinpoint accurate, the two of them, through the traffic so far.
Yeah, indeed. So coming towards the end of this race here, more traffic for Graham Crowhurst to deal with. His lead now over Paul Cook is extended to 3 seconds. You can see Paul Cook just coming out of Club Corner now. He's putting a lap on the 68 car, is that? No, it's not, I don't think, Gareth Thomas, but anyway, Crowhurst just pulling away in the lead of this race, leading the M1 division as well, so this is doing his championship hopes no harm at all. He was behind, well no, he's ahead of Paul Cook coming into this weekend quite convincingly, actually by 31 points, and he'll continue to extend his advantage in the M1 class, and indeed he'll probably take the overall championship lead away from Lee Pearcey, as we've said isn't here this weekend. So he'll get himself into championship contention, but of course Lee Pearcey will be thinking, well, I can drop these 2 scores from Silverstone at the end of the season. There's still a few more races to go. Now they have a triple header at Anglesey in September, and then it's Snetterton in October to round out the season for the BMW Car Club Racing Championship. I think Graham Crowhurst is going to get 2 more laps out of this. He's about to complete lap 15 with a minute and 3/4 or so to go, so time for him to get the lap is about to start, and then 1 more lap in before the 20 minutes is up.
And he just lapped that fight that we were looking out for between Gareth Thomas and Sam Walton, so for 15th and 16th, but in the Cup division they're squabbling over the final step on the Cup podium. Oh, disaster for Stephen Schweikart from the lead of Class 6. He was battling away with Jim Benson, and has there been some contact into Vale Corner, it means that Schweikart is now facing the wrong way in the gravel between Vale and Club. Quite a vulnerable place for that car to be sitting in for the remaining minute or so. Yeah,
and we think there's 1 more lap to go scheduled at the end of this one. Graham Crowhurst is heading down the hanger straight. He's lapping Stuart Pywell there in the number 76 car that's second within the Cup class, I think for a second time. And he'll be coming up to the yellow flag zone where Stephen Schweikart's car is presumably still stuck in the gravel. I guess the marshals are on the scene now to try and recover that car. Hopefully Graham will have seen the yellow flags and respect those, and I can see the marshals trying to push Schweikart's car out of the way by the looks of it as well. As Crowhurst comes through, and he goes on to his final lap. There's the last lap board then, Johnny.
Yeah, driving standards flag out for somebody or other as well, but the last lap board more crucial for Graham Crowhurst, who will have caught sight of that. He'll also be well aware of the recovery that is taking place at Vale Corner. That's a sterling effort from all involved there at Vale Corner. I didn't think that car would move, even with 4 or 5 marshals on the back of it. There's a wave of acknowledgement from Stephen Schweikart. Unfortunately for him, he's lost any chance now of finishing in good places in Class 6 because he's fallen a lap behind. Cavan Grange has just come across the line as the new Class 6 leader. So Jim Benson, I think, got caught up with that incident with Schweikart and has fallen to 3rd. Granger now leads Class 6 from Clive Watson.
Yeah, so it's going to be a new winner, not the new winner we thought we were going to have potentially in Class 6. It's going to be Cavan Granger, probably. He's 1.7 seconds ahead of Clive Watson going on to their final lap of the race. But here's the race leader, Graham Crowhurst, then. And he has been very successful of late. He was also a victor in the 2nd race at Donington Park just a fortnight ago at the BMW Car Club Summerfest, but he's going to come through now and take the checkered flag to win the final race of the day here at Silverstone. It's the BMW Car Club Racing Championship. Number 15, Graham Crowhurst, takes the victory then from number 26, Paul Cook, in 2nd place. 5.15 seconds separate them at the end. And then 3rd, I think, will be Mike Eustace there. He is number 80, just turning his way through Club Corner for the final time. We'll see if we can pick up what's going on in Class 6 as well, a bit further back possibly, because that's the 37 car, the burgundy bonneted car of Cavan Granger. Yes, he's just turned his way through Club Corner now. Well, that tells you all you need to know, doesn't it, about the demise of Stephen Schweikart. Damage to the front of Jim Benson's car as Cavan Granger, just ahead of him, comes through to complete his race, and he takes the victory in Class 6 then. Cavan Granger, it is, winning Class 6, and Clive Watson in 2nd, and Andy Wynne in 3rd place, with Jim Benson falling back to 4th place in the end. There's Stephen Schweikart, still waving to the marshals even after his disappointment right at the end of that race, Johnny.
Yeah, and quite rightly so, because, you know, he gets a race finish rather than being stuck in the gravel right at the end of the lap. But testament to those guys down at Post at Vale, and indeed the whole of the track, because it's been a trying weekend in terms of heat, not rain necessarily, as is so often the case here in the UK, but it's been very, very warm, particularly when you're in several layers of fireproof overalls for safety reasons for the marshals. So great effort from all involved, wherever you've been based around the circuit, with some quick recoveries organised. And that has meant that certainly in the long endurance race today, we didn't have a single safety car, did we?
No.
So, yeah, but it's good that Schweikart gets a finish. Sadly, it's a long way away from the top 6 in Class 6, but it does mean, as you say, new driver to the top step of the podium and an unusual look to Class 6.
Yeah, so Cavan Granger getting the win there. Let's see if we can bring you the results from that race then. Final race of the weekend here at Silverstone. It was Graham Crowhurst that took the win. He completed 17 laps in car number 15 to take the victory by 5.15 seconds from number 26, Paul Cook, in 2nd place. Number 80, Mike Eustace, it was that took the 3rd place finish. In 4th place was number 66, Mark Culmer, but he was a lap down on the top, or certainly on the race leader. Then we get into Class 6, that's where I find number 37, Cavan Granger, taking the class victory there. For number 10, Clive Watson. 16, Andy Wynne took 7th overall and 3rd within Class 6. Jim Benson falling back to 4th after that contact with Stephen Schweikart, as we assume, towards the end of that race. Bill Redrop was 9th, Tom Singleton 10th in the number 23 car, then it was Lee Spencer. William Lake in 12th overall won the Cup class from Stuart Pywell, Gareth Thomas and Sam Walton, with Carl McMillan, Adi Andrei and Stephen Schweikart and Andrew Pywell completing the 19 finishers in that BMW Car Club Racing Championship race. Well, Johnny Palmer, it's been good to have you alongside me in the commentary box once again. We must do this again sometime.
I'd like to, yeah. And to be honest, the whole weekend has been a surprise for me. Got a relatively late call, not quite as late as Knock Hill just a couple of weekends ago. But if nothing else, I've ticked off 2 brand new boxes to call races from here at Silverstone. Stowe yesterday. and Abby today for the live stream.
Absolutely.
Many thanks.
And thank you for stepping in at late notice. It was very much appreciated. Just to echo again those thanks to all of the marshals who've done such sterling work all around the circuit, and indeed to thank all of the other officials of the 750 Mouse Club and the Silverstone circuit staff who work so hard behind the scenes as well to make all of this possible. We'll look forward to welcoming you again to the next 750 Mouse Club meeting at Brands Hatch on the 27th of August. The next live stream that will be announced very shortly, and Silverstone with a venue for the Burkitt 6-hour relay race for the 750 Mouse Club when we're back here on the 29th of October. That's something a bit different. 70 cars on the grid, or 70 teams of cars on the grid on the Grand Prix circuit. We look forward to bringing you that every autumn, and I'll be joined by Josh Barrett and Andy McEwen and Lewis Beals for that one. So we look forward to bringing you that. Just looking to see what's going on down in the pit lane. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you a chat with our race winner very shortly. And indeed we can go down now to hear from Chris Stevens. So from me, Ian Seaman and Johnny Palmer, it's good night, and we'll leave you with Chris Stevens.
Well, the final race of the day, and it was won by Graham Crowhurst, a second win of the day. But you did have to get your elbows out in the early stages of that race.
Yeah, that was a lot harder than the first race. Fair play to Paul. He's made some changes to the car, and safe to say they worked. Yeah, really had to work hard for that.
And how much were you having to really push to keep him at bay?
Oh, flat out for 20 minutes. There was nothing left in reserve. Made a couple of little mistakes, outbraked myself a little bit at Stowe. Paul was coming back at me, and then the back markers, I think I got a little bit luckier with some of the back markers, but then one of them's hit me in the door at Vale, and I thought, why? You know, why bringing this into it? But it was about 6 cars into one corner, but I think Paul got held up, so yeah, the car's all right, thankfully. I'll just give it a bit of a shake down the straight, thinking it feels all right.
I mean, there's no pain without any gain, right? So yeah, well, fantastic stuff. Another incredible victory for you to add to the tally. Yeah. Another garland to take home with you as well. Yeah.
And this is the main.
Oh well.
Great race.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Right, well, we'll leave you to go and celebrate with your team. Now, we've got a really good, heartwarming story to end the day on, because Cavan Granger, after, what was it, 3 years?
3 seasons, yeah.
3 seasons.
First win ever.
Just took his first ever class victory in the 6 class.
Quite happy with that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. Been trying to get the car set up this year with the suspension. The first race was a bit manic because I put the wrong tyres on, and I dropped right back down the pecking order. But I got a good start. Managed to gain a couple of spaces. I saw Jim Benson and Steve Schwartz sitting there battling first and second. I thought they're going to make a mistake, and luckily they did, and I was able to sail through. And yeah, so a little bit default really, but yeah, I got there. It's a win's a win, isn't it?
I mean, that was a really incredible battle, and you got a front row seat for it.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, it's just unfortunate that, you know, like Graham said, 6 cars into one corner doesn't work, and it just got a bit tight coming into oval there, and yeah, I just sat there and was able to pick them off, and luckily I wasn't involved, and I managed to get good speed coming at the bend to take first. So yeah, it's good. So we're happy. Good day.
Well, default or not, a win's a win. Congratulations on your first victory. Absolutely fantastic stuff. You should go and celebrate tonight.
Out there. Thank you, all supporters, especially the wife. Couldn't do it without her.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah, cheers. Well, that wraps up everything from the 750 Motor Club at Silverstone International, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much for joining us. If you have been at the circuit, we wish you a very pleasant trip home, and if you are watching at home, then enjoy the rest of your evening.